Today in the kitchen we are gonna do a super luxury butter pecan ice cream. I mean, this one's gonna be good. So let's talk a bit more about it. So butter pecan ice cream. It's got a bit of a dark history. It originated in the late 19th century up to mid 20th century, born from racism. It is believed that because vanilla was exclusively available to white people, that black folk back then turned to butter pecan as an ice cream flavor, the way to get that luxury that just wasn't available back then to them. Thankfully, the world has changed somewhat. So let's talk about what butter pecan is. Obviously it's pecan pieces. They are toasted in butter. Then there's a bit of a gray area as to what the actual ice cream flavor is. Some people say it's just vanilla. A lot of people say it's not just vanilla, but they can't really determine what it is. So I dug deeper into the history of what it is. And it turns out actually there's a few different variations. One is just straight vanilla ice cream, custard based, with butter toasted pecan halves, fulls, pieces in there. Then you've got the start of the unknown variation. Yes, still vanilla ice cream, but there's something in it, something about it that changes the flavor, boosts its flavor. It's not butter extract. Then there's another variation where we use different types of sugar to change the flavor profile. So as we're a science-based ice cream channel, I'm gonna do a combination of all three. I'm gonna go down a route which produces not only possibly the best vanilla ice cream you're ever gonna eat, but also brings forward the flavor of brown butter. Brown butter is when it goes through the Maillard reaction and you get these pieces of toasted butter fat in there that creates a flavor that you just can't achieve any other way. So there's a couple of things that we're going to need for this that you might not have in your pantry, and that is brown sugar, dark brown sugar. Dark brown sugar is essentially just plain white cane sugar with molasses. And they add that back to create this unique flavored sugar. We're gonna use this, it's been around for hundreds of years. We're gonna use this dark brown sugar. If you don't have dark brown sugar, you can use white sugar and molasses, combine the two. But what we get is this really, really rich caramelized sugar kind of aroma and taste coming through it. But you know, that's not the overall flavor because we've got a lot of dairy going into this. It's a custard base, so we're going to be using eggs, and we're also going to be using our in-house made vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract. It's not as good as vanilla bean paste, but it will work in a pinch. We're looking for that vanilla flavor, but vanilla bean paste gives you so much more of a complex vanilla flavor. So what are we going to need for our ultimate butter pecan ice cream? You're going to need 500 grams of milk, 2%, or full fat is fine. 544 grams of whipping cream at 33%, 168 grams of dark brown sugar, 56 grams of dextrose or corn syrup if you don't have dextrose, 67 grams of skim milk powder, 10 grams of browned butter, 125 grams of egg yolk, and 25 grams of vanilla bean paste. On top of that, for the add-in, we are going to need 150 grams of pecans and 50 grams of salted butter. So now that we've got all that down, let's get into the making of it. What we're going to do is we're going to do our pecans first because we're going to do these in browned butter. And we're going to take some of that brown butter and put it aside because we're going to use it in our ice cream base. All right, so I'm using a really nice quality butter. I think it was Safeway. So it's just grass-fed butter. Good quality butter, please. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 50 grams of this butter and put it in our pan. cut it up into little cubes. We don't want one massive great lump because we need this to melt evenly. And that is the process of doing brown butter is really just about toasting the solids. And there we go, 50 grams of butter. And brown butter, I think, has origins in France, where it's called beurre noisette. Noisette is hazelnut, so ultimately it's called hazelnut butter. And that's because we get these toasted flavors that come through that are reminiscent of toasted hazelnuts. So with our butter in our pan, what we're gonna do is just get this on a hob and get it on a medium heat. We're gonna keep an eye on this because you can burn browned butter quite easily. We're gonna keep this going for about 5 to 8 minutes. What will happen is the butter will foam up, that foam will start to subside, and gently we're going to cook that down until we see and smell that toasted flavor come. We'll see some little dark brown spots in our butter. I'll show you in a top-down view. So you're going to keep an eye on that. So let's weigh out our pecans. I know some of you will say, oh, I say pecans wrong. Yeah, well, that's how I say it. I'm English, that's how English people say pecan. I know in the US you say pecan, say it how you want, it's the same thing. So 150 grams. There we go, close enough. Now, I don't want huge pieces of pecan. Pecan is a really oily nut, and they can come across as being quite stale. So just break them in half, and that allows an open end to the nut for that butter to go in and infuse that flavor into the nut itself. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just toast the pecans in another pan just for a couple of minutes, bring that flavor forward before we put it in our butter. So in that goes, and on the hob, just toast it for a couple of minutes. So our butter is heating up. As you can see, it's starting to bubble. We've got it on a medium heat, so we're gonna just keep swirling this around. We can see that that foam is starting to happen on the top. What will happen soon is that butter will start to change transparency. Our pecans are coming up to temperature. The smell of the oil is coming out. We've got a lovely, lovely taste being infused into those now, warming up nicely. We can keep that as high as it will go because we're only doing it for a few minutes. So our pecans are now nicely toasted. They're just at that point where that smell is developed. Lovely bit of heat in those there. We can now take those off the heat and put them aside. Just put them in a small container like so. We're going to need to use this pan for our ice cream base. What we can do now is concentrate on our butter because we're starting to get there. You can see that foam, the bubbles have come up like this. That initial white foam has subsided. The transparency is changing. We're close now. This is it. This is where we are. We can turn the heat off. We don't want to burn this. Perfect. Perfect. What we're going to do is take 2 teaspoons of our brown butter and put it in a small container. We're going to use that in our ice cream. But as you can see here, look at those solids. Those solids toasted there. That's what's going to boost the flavor in our ice cream. But what we have here now is our butter. We are then going to add in our pecans and just stir that around now in that hot toasted browned butter and get those pecans absorbing that. We can leave that off the heat now to do its thing. So we've got our browned butter and our pecans in here. Just smell is incredible. So we've got our 10 grams of our browned butter here. We're going to use it in our ice cream. So let's prepare our ice cream base. Custard. I don't do custard often because I find it semi-wasteful. It's basically impossible to get egg yolks on their own over here in the stores, so we have to use whole eggs. You can achieve this without egg yolks by using a stabilizer to achieve a similar result. But because of the flavor that we are trying to get here in this brown butter ice cream, we want that egginess to come through. It doesn't taste of egg, but we're trying to deepen the flavor, and that is something that egg yolks can do in certain elements. Egg yolks are excellent in vanilla ice cream, so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to get our dairy and other ingredients in here and get this going. First thing we're going to need, 500 grams of milk. Cup measurements on the screen. So it's enough to make 2 Ninja Creami Deluxe, 2 2/3 standard Ninja Creami. And by the time we do overrun in our churned, which is what we're doing this in, this will give us about 1.6, 1.7 litres with our overrun. So nice amount. 544 grams of cream. This is 33% whipping cream. If you've only got 36%, that is fine. So 168 grams of our dark brown sugar, Walmart. Into that we're going to add our 10 grams of brown butter. Doesn't sound like a lot. Makes a huge difference. We've got, like I showed you on camera, we've got all these deepened toasted milk solids, butter fat solids. It's essentially the same thing going in there. That's really going to boost that flavor for us, this unknown flavor. So into that we're going to add our skim milk powder and our dextrose. 56 grams of our dextrose. Skim milk powder, 67 grams. And we've only got our egg yolks to do now. So what we can do is get this whisked together. And you'll find with that dark brown sugar, the color of this vanilla ice cream is gonna be like a light caramel color. And that is really, really what changes this. You'll find that your solids, your butter solids will harden like this. That is fine, because we're gonna be putting this back on the hob any minute. Now we need to do our egg yolks, and that is 125 grams of egg yolk. There we go, 125 grams of egg yolks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 eggs. What we can do is just add them all straight into our ice cream base. So making sure that that's completely mixed in. Looks like a delicious caramel ice cream, but has no caramel flavor essentially. Just a slight touch of it from our browned butter and our dark brown sugar. Finally, I'll put a link in the description and a link up here where you can see how to make this delicious vanilla bean paste at home. The one using that. I'm gonna use that. 25 to 30 grams of our vanilla bean paste. We're gonna make this such a good vanilla ice cream. That is our ice cream base. So let's get this on the hob and cook it out. Whilst that's filming away on there, this video was suggested by some of my Patreon supporters. If you want me to make an ice cream and you want it guaranteed that I will make it, head over to Patreon and sign up whatever you want a month, and you can then suggest some recipes and we will talk about getting them on the channel. The two people that suggested this are long-time supporters of the channel, so great way of guaranteeing your flavor to be shown on here. So with our hob on a medium-high heat, let's get this on, and we're just going to stand here and stir it until we get up to about 70 to 75 centigrade, which is this in Fahrenheit. We don't need to go any higher than that. We're not using a stabilizer. We've got our egg yolks in this one, so I'll come back once we're there. So there we go. Nice and easy to achieve. Smell that's coming through is incredible. All we need to do now is to chill this down. It's very, very different to a standard vanilla. Promise you, this is one of the best vanilla ice creams you're going to eat. So with that in mind, let's get this base chilled down in the refrigerator. We'll want to leave this overnight. We want to leave this for at least 12 hours for these flavors to develop. We've got a lot of complex flavors in here. Our brown butter, our homemade vanilla bean paste, dark brown sugar with molasses. There's a lot going on here. Let's give this time for these flavors to develop, all right? 12 hours minimum, 24 hours if you can. One final thing we need to do is to get our pecans in our brown butter just stored. We're going to store these at room temperature. Get all that browned butter in there with it. Because we're waiting 24 hours for our ice cream base, that's going to allow the complex flavor of that brown butter in those pecans to develop too. So leave this on the side. Now come back tomorrow. It's been days, like 3 days. Yeah, 3 days since I started this recipe. Life takes over sometimes. So let's just quickly catch up for my sake more than anyone else's, because it's like 10 seconds since you last saw me. Anyway, our delicious vanilla butter pecan base is here. I'm going to do something a bit special. Someone or a supporter of the channel gave a suggestion, which I'm going to do as well as this. So before we start, I am going to pour off some of that. I'm not filling it right up. It's about 400. Oh yeah. It's about 400 grams in a standard creamy tub. On purpose. So let's pop that in the freezer. This is going to be delicious. And let's get this in our machine. So whilst that is churning, obviously because this has been sat for days, the butter has hardened down at the bottom of our pecan. You can see here the dark colour is all those caramelized solids from our burnt butter. They smell delicious, but we need to separate that. We need to melt this just enough to get those liquid again, so we can stir this up before adding these into there. We want to coat these again before we put them in. If you make these like now at this stage, then you won't need to do this. But sometimes you need to make things ahead. So let's melt this in the microwave for about 15 seconds. So we're just going to stir these back together, get all those lovely caramelized solids in our butter, coating these pecans. Right, we're right at the end of our churn, so let's get these in. I want that browned butter going in there as well. As that hits the ice cream, it's going to freeze into these gorgeous little nuggets of caramelized brown butter. This is just one of the things in this recipe that sends this right over the edge. We want to get plenty of these pecans in there. Save a couple for decoration. Have we got all that? Yeah, let's get that good stuff in there. Don't be afraid of doing something different. Honestly, I wish you could smell this. This is gonna be good. Get this in the freezer, dish the rest up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Following day, let's get some of this. Oh, it smells good. Dished up. Browned butter pecan ice cream. Beautiful scooping texture. Amazing. Buttery pecans coming through. They've got that ever so slight caramelized flavor to them with the browned butter. That brown butter in the ice cream really boosts that flavor. We've got a caramelized note as well because we used that dark brown sugar with the molasses already in there. Honestly, this is something really special. It's combined with that ultra luxury vanilla bean paste that we made on the channel a few months ago. This is an absolute winner. This is possibly the best butter pecan ice cream you're ever gonna make. It's got that unknown kind of flavor to it that people can't determine what it is, but we know what it is. Incredible. One more spoonful. Now we haven't finished there. A supporter of the channel suggested something that they did at home and I wanted to try it myself. So earlier in the video, I decanted some of our mix into a Ninja Creami tub. So let's do that. Here we have our browned butter pecan base. No pecans in there. All right. Word, that thing takes forever. Check that out, nice. And what the suggestion was, we're gonna put a nice divot down in the middle there. We're gonna take a small pecan pie and we're gonna just cut that up and put that in our Ninja Creami tub. Take a bite. Cover that over and let's put that back on with our add-ins. Let's get that out. I've got another scoop of that there because I've just eaten the first one because I need to do a thumbnail. So let's just pop that in there. There we go. Finally, all finished. We have our more traditional browned butter pecan ice cream, which is a brown sugar vanilla with brown butter custard base, ultra decadent base with our toasted in browned butter pecans. We have the same base. Instead of the pecans, we've got pecan pie straight through this Ninja Creami base. Let's try this one. Oh, that's special. I think I prefer this one. They're both excellent. There's little chewy bits in there. The sugar base that goes into a pecan pie, it's kind of, as obviously the Ninja Creami has decimated that in the add-in spin, they've frozen back up to create this chewy little nuggets of deliciousness. Gary, thank you. Excellent suggestion. Top recipe for the Ninja Creami. Ultra decadent butter pecan ice cream. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Next week we're going to be looking at how to use a sous vide to cook ice cream bases. So if you don't want to miss that one, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.